Allison here. Now that you've gathered up all of your physical personal history assets, your photos, documents, recipes, anything else you might want to use in your life storybook, I want to show you how to gather and organize those images you already have on your computer. I'll show you how to set up a file system so you can organize the photos you have on your computer now and add the photos you'll scan later into one logical file system. In this demonstration, I'll be working on a Windows computer in Windows 7. If you're working on a Mac, the principles are exactly the same, although the screen might look a little different. At this stage, we're only going to be organizing the photos that you will use for this particular life story project. If you have a large number of photos on your computer and you decide to organize them all before you complete your project, you could get stuck in the organizational phase and never finish your book. Trust me, I know this from experience, and you obsessive types out there will know what I'm talking about. So try to resist the temptation to tackle your whole computer and just focus on gathering and organizing for this project for now. You can always go back and use these same principles later for the rest of your photos. First, you're going to create a new folder on your computer. This will be the Mama folder that will contain all your subfolders for your project. I'm going to call this one Photos for a Life Storybook for lack of a more creative title. Within that folder, you are going to create subfolders, one for each chapter or category from your timeline. These subfolders should make sense to you and fit with the scope of your book. In this example, I'm doing a book about my grandfather, so I'm going to create subfolders that match the chronological divisions I made on his timeline. I've divided his life into childhood, college, marriage, children, extended family, and career. But you can divide the subfolders into decades, like this example here, or any other way that coordinates with your lifeline. As I create these subfolders, I'm putting in a 2-digit number in front of the name of the folder, so they'll stay in chronological rather than alphabetical order. I'm also going to add another subfolder called Needs Research. This way I have a place for photos that I might want to use, but I'm not sure what the date is or what category in which to put them, so that later when I obtain this information, I can then drag the photo out of the Needs Research folder and into the appropriate folder. Now you can navigate to a folder or a hard drive, a flash drive, or any other place on your computer where you might have photos that are appropriate for this project. As you find a photo that you want to use, just drag it from its original place into the folder for your project. Dragging alone will copy the photo into the project folder and will leave the original where it is. If you have enough disk space on your computer, I would recommend this because you still have a backup if anything goes wrong. But if you're short on disk space, or if you know for sure that you don't want to keep a copy of the photo in its original place, you can hold the Shift key while you drag, which will move it to the project folder, removing it completely from its original location. If you're not sure whether or not to use a particular photo in this project, ask yourself these questions. First, does it fit the scope of my project? In doing this little book about my grandfather, I came across some pictures of my grandmother's childhood home, which doesn't quite fit with my scope, so I'm going to leave them where they are for now. I'll use them in another book about my grandmother's childhood later on. Another question is, does it support a possible story? This is a scan here of a telegram that my grandfather sent to my grandmother, and it has a great story behind it, so I definitely want to keep this one. Now, I've been using Windows Explorer for this example. If you have Photoshop on your computer, you can also use Adobe Bridge, which comes with Photoshop, to drag and drop files. The only advantage to using Bridge is that you can also see thumbnails of Photoshop files, whereas Windows Explorer only shows you the blue Photoshop icon. Another question to ask yourself is, does it have emotional impact? This photo of my grandparents is nice, but it doesn't really show their personalities. I have other pictures of them I like better, so I'm going to leave that one out for now. I also want to show you how to add photo descriptions or captions into the metadata of the digital file. Adding metadata is kind of the digital equivalent of writing on the back of the snapshot. In Windows Explorer, it's very simple to add a descriptor in the title box at the bottom of the window. Select the photo and make sure your window is large enough for the title box to show. Type in your description and click Save, and then you're set. That information will travel with the photo even if you move it to another location or another computer. You can also add descriptions in Adobe Bridge under the Metadata tab. You go to IPTC Core and you'll find a description field where you can enter your caption. Keep going through the photos on your computer, looking for photos for your project until you have gathered everything that you think you want. As you collect new photos, say if someone emails you a photo or if you scan your prints and slides, you can continue adding them into this system in exactly the same way.